right? And so I have a question for you. Do you ever wish that you had more time to do something that was important to you? Right? Maybe you've heard someone say the following statements, or maybe you've said them yourself. I wish I had more time to spend with my kids. I wish I had more time to start up that business idea. I wish I had more time to go to the gym. I wish I had more time to, get involved in a ministry in my church. I wish I had more time to read that book or take that course, right? We've all heard or said people say these things, and usually they're followed up with a statement like this: I really want to do that, but I just have so much to do, right? Or I really want to do that, but I'm just so tired, right? I think we can all say that we've either said those things or heard those things, right? And today, we want to look at the Bible to see how we can break barriers in our life, that instead of us saying, I wish, we can turn around and say, I will. Is anybody excited today and to move from I wish to I will? Right? This message is going to help all of us, including myself, to make choices that will lead us into success instead of failure, that will lead us into fulfillment instead of disappointment, that will take us to productivity instead of just activity, right? So I want you to turn to your neighbor real quick and tell them, we need this message because I'm turning I wish to I will. Amen. All right, we are going to have an amazing service today. And so the title of my message is simply this: choose important over busy. Choose important over busy. Most of us live very busy lives, right? We're busy with work. We're busy with family and with children responsibilities, right? We're busy with social activities. We're busy with, going out cooking or eating out or shopping or working on our side hustle. Especially this culture has become addicted to being busy, right? I've heard so many people say this is the culture of side hustles. If you don't have a side hustle, people are looking at you weird, like you're not doing enough, right? Our culture is addicted to being busy, right? But the question is, have we lost focus on what's important because of all the busyness? Right? Have we lost focus on what's important because we're so busy, right? If we're not careful, being busy can become a pattern that will eventually destroy our future. If we're not careful, we'll get caught up in busyness and we'll lose sight of the important things. Listen to what it says in Proverbs 17, verse 24. It says this: an intelligent person aims at wise action, but a fool starts off in many directions. Aims at wise actions means this. It means to have focus or to set priorities. Have focus, set priorities. The Bible is telling us that an intelligent person, a wise person, is a person who accomplishes what God designed for them to do because they aren't just busy they aren't just busy people, but they're people who intentionally fill their day with wise actions. They're focused on a direction. The word aim is important in this, and this is what it literally means. There is a focus. There is a direction and a focus. They are aiming at wise action, right? They focus on priorities that will move their life forward in the right direction. Right? It says a fool is off in many directions. They're not just going in any direction or the easiest direction, but God's direction, what his best is, each and every step. That is their focus and their aim. Right? The verse says a foolish person runs in many directions. Does anybody here want to be a fool today? I will say no, I do not. I hope that everyone would want to agree with that. No, I do not want to be what the Bible considers a fool, and therefore I don't want to run off in many directions, right? Why are they foolish to run off in many directions? Here's why. Because many directions is not having a clear focus in your life, in your future, or in your faith. If you have many directions, there's no clear focus for your life, for your future, or for your faith. And sometimes people get a clear direction for their future, but they don't think about how that impacts their faith. Or sometimes people think about their present life, what's going on right now, but they're short-sighted and they don't look at how that will impact their future. Right? And they're all different types of things that will try to appeal to you to run in their direction. Are all of these things sin? I would say no. They're not all necessarily sin. There's nothing wrong with them. Right? But here's the thing, they won't advance your life. They won't help you towards your goal, towards your aim, towards your focus, what you're set on. They're not going to help advance you that way. They're just going to make you busy. Right? And there's danger in living a busy life, but still missing out on the important things that we should be doing. If we're living busy, but we're missing out on the important things, well, that is when you are in a dangerous area. And so it's kind of like this story that I heard. So I'm going to tell you guys the story, but I'm also going to show you. So Kels, the amazing Kels, has volunteered to help me out here. So I'm going to show you. Yes, thank you, Kels. I'm going to show you guys as I tell you this story, okay? So one day, this professor was teaching a class, and she took out a 1-gallon pitcher from under her desk, right? Like this. She puts it on her desk, and she shows her class, right? And then she also got about a dozen fist-sized rocks, similar to this, and she starts carefully placing the rocks inside of the pitcher, right? So she's doing this, and she's placing all the rocks inside of the pitcher as she's showing her class, and they're watching her like, what is this lady doing? Like you might be thinking about me, but that's okay, right? And so she's filling up her pitcher with these rocks. And then once she gets them to the brim, I'm just about at the brim. Once she gets them to the brim, she then turns to her class, and she says, is this full? And the class are like, yeah, it's full. It's filled up to the top. You can't put any more rocks in there. And she said, okay. And then she reaches under her desk, and she pulls out a bucket of gravel. And she starts to pour this gravel inside of this pitcher. And then she goes, is this bucket full? Now, a lot less people said yes this time. They were like, I don't know what you're doing here. So, and then she reaches under her desk, and in the same pitcher, she grabs some sand. She grabs some sand. And then, after she poured the gravel in, she goes and she gets the sand, and she pours the sand in. Thank you. And so she starts pouring the sand in, and you see it's filling in places that the other ones couldn't. And then after she finishes filling it in, she goes, so do you think this pitcher is full? Now, the class had started to catch on at this point because obviously this lady just keeps on pulling out more stuff from out of her desk. So they're like, no, I don't think it's full because clearly you are pulling some Mary Poppins stuff up here. And so then she grabs a pitcher of water, and she starts filling the bucket with the water. And so when she's done all this, now we have clearly a very full bucket. And so when she's done all this, and she has her gravel and her sand and her rocks and her water, then she goes, good. And she asks the class, what do you think the point of this exercise was? And so one student answers, you can cram more into your life than you think. She was like, okay. And then another student says, well, looks can be deceiving. And she says, okay, well, those answers might be true. She had a different lesson planned. She said, the point is, if you don't put in the big rocks first, you'll never get them all in. And sometimes we're guilty of filling up our days with sand and gravel and water. But the thing is, we don't make room for the big rocks. And see, if I have another rock like this, and now I try to fit it in, well, water is going to start spilling everywhere. Right? If we don't have room for the big rocks, for important things, we'll just live busy lives and miss out on what's important. We have to make sure that we're placing the rocks down first, that the big rocks, the big things, the important things are at the base of our everyday lives, right? And one of the keys to being all that God has designed us to be, to doing everything that God has designed you to do, to having everything that God desires for you to have, is to have the right priorities. To have the right priorities. It's choosing what's most important over just being busy, right? It's choosing the important rocks of our lives before the sand of busyness, right? So, what are the big rocks in our life, and how do we make sure that they come first? Thank you so much. What are the big rocks in our life, and how do we make sure that they come first?